Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into the ultimate medical detective guide for keeping your goldfish not just alive, but absolutely thriving. I mean, if you've ever come home to find your fish floating sideways, hiding in a corner, or covered in these weird, mysterious spots, you know exactly how fast their health can crash. It's terrifying. But here's the really good news. Most of these diseases are entirely preventable if you know exactly what to look for.
Okay, let's dive into this. 10 to 15. That number right there represents the natural lifespan in years of a healthy goldfish. Think about that for a second.
Yet, despite that incredible potential lifespan, we have this staggering contrast. Most goldfish die within their very first year from entirely preventable diseases. Honestly, that is a shocking statistic, and it really sets the stage for why understanding these diseases isn't just a helpful tip, it's an absolute emergency for anyone keeping these amazing fish.
Section 1. Spotting the warning signs. To avoid becoming part of that terrible statistic, we need to enter our medical detective phase. Catching symptoms early, like within the first 48 hours, dramatically improves your treatment success rate. So before a disease really takes hold, you want to be looking for things like clamped fins, gasping at the surface, or rubbing against the glass. To catch those early warning signs, you really need a routine. Here is an AVMA recommended visual checklist you should be performing weekly, ideally while you're doing your regular water changes. Basically, you want to see clear eyes, smooth flat scales, healthy red gills, a spotless body, and fully spread fins. Oh, and here's a fantastic pro tip for this. Turn off your tank lights for about 5 minutes and then flip them back on. A healthy fish is going to react and respond quickly. A sick fish, they'll react very slowly or, honestly, sometimes not at all. Now, you got to keep in mind, not all goldfish are built the same. Breeds like Arandas, Ranchus, and Ryukins, well, they just get sick far more often than your standard, hardy, common goldfish. Why? It really comes down to their anatomy. Their compressed, round little bodies lead to bent swim bladders and highly sensitive digestive systems. Plus, those beautiful, elaborate fins they have, they're practically magnets for trapping bacteria compared to common goldfish.
Section 2. The suspects and the antidotes.
So what actually happens when your fish gets sick? Let's profile the top offenders and talk about the concrete steps needed to cure them. Suspect number 1 is itch, otherwise known as white spot disease, and it looks literally exactly like someone took a salt shaker and shook it right over your goldfish. You'll see them doing this thing called flashing, which basically means they're constantly scratching themselves against objects in the tank. Now, I absolutely cannot emphasize this enough. Itch is a parasite. It is not a bacterial infection. That means pouring antibiotics into your tank isn't going to do a single thing. And if left untreated, these parasites will multiply, clog the fish's gills, and kill them within days. And this brilliantly illustrates a common trap a lot of keepers fall into, which is confusing itch with velvet. Both cause spots, but they are very, very different. Itch spots are white and about the size of a grain of salt, showing up on the body and fins. Velvet, on the other hand, gives off this gold or rust-colored dusty appearance, and it usually starts around the head and gills. If you want to know for sure, shine a flashlight on the fish from the side. If you see what looks like gold dust, you're dealing with velvet, and that requires copper-based meds. If it's white salt, you've got itch. Let's say you've positively identified itch. Here is your exact, concrete protocol. Remember, you're treating the free swimming stage of the parasite here, not the spots themselves. First, add an air stone. Then slowly raise the water temperature to 80 degrees Fahrenheit over the course of 48 hours. Next, add 1 teaspoon of aquarium salt per gallon of water, along with the medication IchX by Hikari. Now, crucially, you must continue this exact treatment for 7 to 10 days after the very last visible spot disappears, while doing 25% daily water changes. Seriously, quitting treatment early just because the spots vanished, that's going to cause a massive relapse every single time. Next up on our suspect list is fin rot. Unlike itch, this one is a bacterial infection. It literally eats inward from the edges of the fins, leaving them looking all ragged, frayed, and lined with these ugly red or dark borders. Fin rot almost always stems from poor water quality, high nitrates, or some kind of physical injury. But be warned, if you let this advance until the rot reaches the actual base of the fin, full recovery is incredibly unlikely. The specific antidote for fin rot starts right with the environment. Do an immediate 30% water change and fix your ammonia and nitrite levels first. Once the water is stable, treat the tank with API Fin and Body Cure. It's a really fantastic, fish-safe, broad-spectrum antibiotic blend. Just remember, you absolutely have to remove the activated carbon from your filter during treatment.
Otherwise, it will literally just suck the medicine right out of the water. Now we arrive at a very, very serious condition, dropsy. This happens when the fish swells up with fluid and its scales stick outward just like a pine cone. That visual of the pine cone, it's vital to remember. But here's the thing, dropsy isn't actually a standalone disease. It is a symptom of severe internal organ or kidney failure. If you see that pine coning effect, you've got to isolate the fish immediately in a hospital tank. You'll want to add Epsom salt, about 1 tablespoon per 5 gallons, to help draw out those fluids and reduce the swelling, and use an internal antibiotic like kanamycin. However, I have to be completely honest with you here. Once a goldfish is fully pine-coned on all sides, the survival rate is exceedingly low. It's really tough. Our last major suspect is swim bladder disorder. You probably know this one as the classic sideways floater. You'll see the fish drifting upside down or just really struggling to stay upright. As we mentioned earlier, this is super common in fancy goldfish because their compact bodies put so much pressure on their internal swim bladder. The usual culprits for this: overfeeding, gulping air at the surface during mealtime, or honestly, just simple constipation. The cure for a constipation-based swim bladder issue is actually surprisingly simple and completely natural. First, fast the fish. Feed them absolutely nothing for 2 to 3 days. Then, feed them 1 single blanched shelled pea. Yep, just a pea. The soft pea acts like a natural laxative, passes quickly, and often completely resolves that floating issue within 48 hours. No way, right? But it works. Section 3, the ultimate shield, prevention. We're shifting from treatment to prevention now, because the absolute best treatment is never needing it in the first place. Clean water is your single most powerful disease prevention tool. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is exactly how tight these environmental tolerances are. Goldfish are cold water fish, meaning they need 65 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Anything consistently over 75 degrees actively stresses their immune system. Ammonia and nitrites must be strictly at 0 parts per million. Even a trace is toxic and attacks their gills directly. Nitrates need to stay under 20. And to track all this, a liquid test kit like the API Master Kit isn't just optional, it is mandatory. Test strips will completely mislead you. All of this totally dictates the physical setup of your tank. A single 6-inch goldfish requires at least 20 gallons of water. Goldfish have an incredibly heavy bioload, meaning they produce a whole lot of waste. Overstocking is the #1 water quality killer. For sure, you need a strong filter, something like the Seacom Tidal 55, running 24/7. And whatever you do, never replace all your filter media at once, or you will instantly crash your nitrogen cycle, which is a total disaster. To maintain those pristine parameters, here is your simple weekly shield against disease. Test your water. Change 25 to 30% of the water. Vacuum your substrate. Rinse your filter media in old tank water. Never ever use tap water because the chlorine kills the good bacteria. And do that visual health check we talked about. If you fix the water, the goldfish's own immune system will actually handle most threats completely naturally. If you get new fish, or if one does happen to get sick, you absolutely need a quarantine tank. A basic 10 to 20 gallon bare-bottom setup like an Akion Quiet Flow with a sponge filter, a heater, and a simple PVC pipe for hiding is literally all you need. So, the crucial point is, quarantining new fish in a setup like this for 2 to 4 weeks prevents 90% of disease outbreaks from ever reaching your main display tank. It's a total game changer. Section 4. When to call an aquatic vet. Did you know veterinary fish medicine is a real specialty? Today, telehealth fish vets can even do remote consultations for difficult microscopic diagnoses. According to the American Association of Fish Veterinarians, home treatment ends when you start seeing things like tumors, persistent popeye that just ignores antibiotics, advanced full pinecone dropsy, parasites that somehow survive 2 rounds of meds, or unexplained deaths in perfectly clean water. When that happens, it's definitely time to call in a professional to save the fish. So, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. Is your tank set up to keep your goldfish alive for 15 years, or will they become just another 1-year mortality statistic? The choice is entirely in your hands, your water testing kit, and your weekly habits. To make sure you have everything you need to keep your specific breeds alive and thriving, head right over to the TankZen blog for their full comprehensive guides. Thanks for exploring the science of goldfish health with me today.